So here's another edition of the Wednesday rides. The rides we do every Wednesday. This time with English commentary, and this time it's not a mountain ride, it's a rather flat ride. You see here the figure 8 shape from Bonn around Zülpich and back to Bonn. That's the day, not too far, I think 125 kilometers. And it's one of those perfect winter days, end of February. And this time we are 3 riders. Actually, at this point, we're just 2 riders. Later, out on the road, we meet a 3rd rider, but only to ride for a very short while to a cafe, and then our ways split again. And those of you who regularly follow my videos, you will know this. This is the out-of-town trail that we use most of the time because it's the quickest way to leave Bonn, which is down below now, up to Venusberg, across cotton forest, and then into the open land, which is the Zülpicher Börde, which is a very fertile, agriculture-intensive, nearly flat terrain between the Vorgebirge Mountains, of which the cotton forest is a part, and the Eifel Mountains. As you see, at this time of the day, all the other riders we're meeting are senior citizens on their daily loops around the forest. I meet them a lot. And it's always fun to interact with them. Sometimes they will just, raise their eyebrows. Sometimes they will wave. And sometimes they will yell at you because they believe you don't belong here, because they think you're a motorized vehicle. Out here on this particular part of the Cotton Forest Road, I've lost my comparative advantage. I don't know if I told you about that in a previous video, but this section was recently redone, and I used to know every single pothole here, which made me go faster here than any of my Velomobile buddies. Now it's a super smooth tarmac, and everyone can ride easily here. Here there's no pedaling, it's just coasting because there's a slight downhill. Another senior citizen just passed. Okay, pretty soon we'll be leaving the cotton forest and getting into the open road. Time to speak a little bit about the figure 8 that you see on the track here. You see that the shape is incomplete if you compare that to the map that you've seen in the beginning. The reason for that is my camera didn't function again. I'm always battling with the battery management and the external power supply that I am using here with a power bank. Sometimes it works. On other times the power bank shuts off. And then the battery is used up, but the power bank would not charge the battery. So I haven't found out how to correct this. So I have to live with the fact that on the first half of the loop, the camera worked pretty well, and so there is more footage on the first half than there is of the second half, which you see from the second half of the track on display between the elevation and the speed readings. You see all the holes in there because the camera simply didn't work as it should have. Too bad, but that's the way it is. While this is so, this is the first of 2 downhills of the day. The ride into Pflerzheim, which needs to be controlled speed-wise because there's a speed radar coming up here. The speed limit is 50 and there's a tolerance of 10%, so as long as you're staying under 55, you'll be fine. I like this route. It leads through a number of villages. Most of them are very quiet during the day, obviously because people work elsewhere. But the road is good, and I actually like these small villages. This one we don't really get to see because the road leads sort of around the village. The old part of the village, which has been severely flooded also last year, was to the right. But this one here, Rammershofen, we're going right through. Here the road leads us right through the center of the village. And you see the buildings to the left and right tend to be of the older type, unlike the previous one we passed through. The main road turns left now, but we make a right turn to go to the next village. Now, the secret of this track is to avoid the two somewhat larger towns in the area, Rheinbach and Euskirchen. So we're taking side roads which connect the villages, and not the ones that go to the to the larger towns. Because they tend to be the busy ones. And of course, like here, we take farm roads. Ryden is also good, as you can see. Usually no traffic at all. And this part here has been redone, so it is also pretty smooth. The only reason why we're not faster on this section today is that my buddy Alex has some issues with his DF. He really has to work harder than I do. Because it is not rolling well for some reason. But it's beautiful. See, the road seems to take us right to the horizon, which of course it doesn't, but it looks like it would, and that feels great. But it has to end at some point, and we're then turning left and getting into the next village, which is here. And now you can see the skilled riding of my buddy, because as I get slower at this intersection, he checks the traffic and flies right by. Now that is Venomobile riding of the advanced kind. All I can do is pick up some speed slowly and follow him out of the village. And there we are again approaching the next one. This is Ollheim now. Usually we turn right here and take the road around the village, but today we're going right into the heart of the village, which usually is the church that you see straight ahead, because we're taking a different route than our normal one, because we want to go around Zülpich eventually. So we have to turn more to the west than we usually do when we ride simply out north towards the coal mining areas. In Ollheim, I noticed that my Garmin tries to direct me the other way. Maybe I have accidentally touched on a button, so I'm pretty confused because it wants to me to turn left, right all the time, whereas I know that we have to go straight ahead now. Well, we'll need to stop at some point and I'll fix that issue. I have to restart the track because I must have done something wrong. So we go on and stop at some point beyond that village where we can also put in a biostop. In spite of all that hassle, it's still a gorgeous day and fun to ride. Okay, here we will be stopping, and I'll let you listen in on the track discussion that Alex and I are having at this point.
Du hast da hinten irgendwo eine Kreuzung eingebaut, zwischen klein und groß, zwei, groß, klein und jeweils klein werden und groß werden. Da hast du den Track kreuzen lassen.
Ja, da kreuzt er und er kreuzt hinten auch nochmal. Da kreuzt er, weil wir da von links kommen.
Genau, zum Schluss kommen wir da von links und fahren dann noch weiter Swiss drüber. Und jetzt müssen wir halt eben drüber irgendwie.
Nee, ich kenn eigentlich den Track. Nur hinter zwischen Niederelbe nicht und dann diese Schleife, bis wir dann den Fettweiß rauskommen. Da haben wir ein bisschen was geändert. Da haben wir ein bisschen was neu gemacht, weil wir letztes Mal, als wir Sonderrunde gefahren sind, sind wir dann weiter bis nach Mannheim gefahren. Und Mannheim-Morschenich und dann rübergekommen und dann nach Fettweiß gekommen. Und dann sind wir den Rest gefahren, so wie heute. Das ist
relativ eng an Zülpich vorbeigeführt.
Ja, aber das haben wir letztes Mal, habe ich das auch schon gemacht. So, Tour.
On we go, clipping in and start. It is so quiet on these roads that you even have women walking on the side of the road without any risk to their safety, because there's hardly any car passing by. You see that we are facing a headwind today. It is quite noticeable. Has been stronger in the days before, but now you can detect it when you ride against it. But as we know, as velomobile riders, we are not so much affected by the wind, which is a good thing. Here's one of the many castles that we see along the road. One I haven't really noticed much at all, because when you ride by in the summertime, the building is barely visible. Okay, here we have two more senior citizens racing each other with their electric trikes. That's quite a scenery out here, and people jogging. You see, this is how peaceful it is out here. Big sky, a lot of countryside, a lot of road, and very little traffic. At the end of this farm road, which is actually a very nice farm road, we will be reaching the village of Oberwichterich. And beyond Oberwichterich, we will then try out a somewhat new route. This is a path that I have used many times for rides out here, but beyond that village, I'm trying out something new, and you will see how it works out. Okay, sometimes you have somewhat rougher segments, but that's still very good to ride. And what a scenery! Well, this makes up for quite some roughness, in my view. In between, there's a bit of open road, but pretty soon we'll be turning off to the right here, and back onto another one of those farm roads. Which is where the ride into the unknown, quote-unquote, begins. I told Alex that we would turn left if the road wasn't paved. Well, it isn't paved, but it appeared pretty smooth to ride, but that bump cracked one of my foot bulges. Again, I have to say. And Alex, watching me, he could avoid some damage, but I think I've added another serious crack to my foot bulges. And there's another one of those hidden holes on there. So I will never return to that particular segment, but try out a different route next time. What you see here happens a lot. You see people staring at us with open mouths in disbelief what they are seeing on a beautiful morning like today, when they simply take a walk across the fields. When you wave at them, They wave back, but in their faces you can read that they have no idea of what they're watching. Another one of those unknown farm road segments. Luckily, this time I don't meet an unpaved section. It is actually, like it looked on the map, a paved farm road. But at the end of that road, there's a little surprise waiting for us. Seems to go on forever here. In the distance I can see a young woman on a horse, and as she sees me approaching, she gets off the horse and holds it by the holster. And you see her there? And see what the horse will go nuts about the Velomobiles. I think it somehow manages me passing by, but when Alex follows me, so I indicate to her that I will turn off to the right there. See, and that's now Alex is coming, and the horse goes crazy. Happens a lot as well. Still another one of those unknown farm roads, another one of those seniors on electric tricycles. There she is. Also a road that I will not include again, not because of these tricycles, but there is a pretty smooth road running parallel. I was trying to build in as many farm roads as possible because there's simply no traffic here, except for that woman that is approaching from the right on her bicycle. No, that's the only traffic you have to be afraid of. But it is too rough, and at the end we will have to turn right and get back on that same road here, and we should have been there on this road in the first place. I make this turn in spite of the road blockage warning that you have just seen me pass by. There's a railroad crossing that apparently is undergoing construction and therefore is closed to traffic. But oftentimes, you can somehow bypass it, not by car, but by foot or by bike. So we just continue, hoping that there will be one or the other way for us to go around that roadblock. So here we are slowing down because the railroad crossing is ahead. And look what we see as we come closer.
Ursula, hätte ich mir denken können, dass du an dieser Stelle wartest, wo man leicht unsicher werden könnte, ja, weißt du?
Ja. Ich war mir nicht sicher, ob ich heute die komplette Zeit frei hatte. Und deshalb habe ich nichts geschrieben.
Ja, es war schön, umso schöner dich zu treffen.
20 nach war ich hier,
ja.
Dann ungefähr.
This is Ursula in her beautiful new blue and yellow DF. She didn't announce that she would be meeting with us because she wasn't sure she could make it. And she won't be riding for long with us. She just went out from Cologne to this point to take a break in a bakery at the margins of this village here called Fettweiß. And we follow her. Normally, Alex and me, on our Wednesday rides, we never stop. Today there's going to be an exception because she's here, and we ride with her to the bakery, have coffee together, and then ride on. She goes back home to Cologne, and we follow our planned route.
Nein, wenn du jetzt gleich wiederkommst, dann warten wir noch einen Moment.
And off we go together. But in the village, we turn right, whereas she goes straight back to where she came from. Now this is the loop around the city of Zülpich, and this is also the beginning of my camera issues. Battery is low, so the camera keeps shutting off and won't restart automatically. The entire area is called the Zülpicher Börde, and Börde is a name for a very fertile area of land, normally because this has been an ancient flooding area of mighty rivers, which now have disappeared or receded into creeks. But the fertility of this area and the shape of that area was created by big rivers and regular flooding. And all those in areas like this in Germany, particularly in the north of Germany, they bear the name Börde. It may also have to do with receding glaciers, but I don't know much about that. So let's go on right in. That's what I know something about. I'm looking to the left now because that's where you can see the peaks of the Seven Mountains. We're quite some distance away, but the Seven Mountains have this nice feature that you can see them from many directions from pretty far away, even though they are not that high. You know, they are, what is it, like under 400 meters above sea level. So you know, this is not the Rocky Mountains, but still they have this feature of being visible from afar. Now we're entering a part of our loop where there are a few little climbs, mostly through villages, when you have to climb up and out of a village. And this is the first of them, Juntersdorf. But there's another surprise waiting for us because there's a road construction going on. You see here, my camera had left me, so I can only turn it on again after some time. Here we're already leaving the village, but the climb continues up onto the next hill. And as you see, it's around 10%. I have to do it on the big ring because I didn't get the chain off to the small chain wheel. Back there is the bell tower of that village. The nice thing, however, is that between these villages you have a rather gentle decline. So it's pretty nice rolling. But then you get into the next village, you climb up again, roll down, climb up again, and that continues, I think, for 3 to 4 villages. I've skipped 1 or 2 here because I find that After all, the power bank is, or seems to be, charging the camera battery. So if I pause for a while, there's a little bit of charge, then I can film another clip before it will auto shut off again. Beautiful ride in here. You can't really see it that much or that well in the video, but you see the Eifel Mountains here to the right. We are riding on somewhat more rolling hills, somewhat beyond the foothills of the Eifel Mountains. Now we are turning eastwards, and the terrain is evening out. Here we're approaching the crossing point to the figure 8 that is the shape of today's route. And we're already now beyond that point. And on one of the regular return routes we take across the Vorgebirge range, see, this is the climb from the west side of the Vorgebirge back into the valley of the Rhine. And that's the downhill. I would have loved to get it on camera completely for you, but the camera would shut off after 10 seconds or so. So you see, this is already the end of the downhill. We're back to the Rhine now. This is the final approach before we just ride upstream along the river towards Bonn. And this also concludes today's video, because I have very few clips from that section because the camera battery wouldn't allow for more. Sorry about that. Hope you liked this little excursion, and we'll be back when there's more riding from Velomobil Paradise. Bye-bye.